Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to another episode of Slidin into my DMs, part of the D4 network. This is the show in the network where we basically have a little D&D talk show. We talk about D&D rules, we talk about D&D news, and we basically just try and, I suppose, optimize for fun. I don't know if I'm going to stick with that tagline, but
it's like The View for nerds.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Wait, which one am I? Which one do we all have to? I got to be Whoopi Goldberg. Can I be Whoopi?
I was going to say that.
I don't want to be any of them.
Yeah.
I don't even know who's on there anymore.
Me either, actually.
John McCain's daughter, I guess.
Is Kelly Osbourne still on there? Because that's who I want to be.
I think you're asking the wrong people.
I don't know.
Anyway,
this is the point of the episode today, is to figure out who is on the new View.
Yes, that's what we're going to spend. That's the quick ruling. The quick ruling is
who's on the View.
Who's on the View? No. So with me as always are several of my DMs. Hi guys, thanks for being here. We've got Corey with us. We have the Blackthorn, Mr. Rogers, and the Dungeon Mistress, Tori. I have all these great nicknames for you two, and Corey just dies repeatedly whenever he's not with us.
That's my thing. I'm like that one unlucky party member. I just die and you guys keep bringing me back to life.
The red shirt of the group.
Corey the red shirt.
Corey the red shirt Avis. I like it.
I can go get a red shirt on if we want. If we want to take
a pause. And I'm such an idiot because Corey is usually the DM for our group, and I just antagonize him over and over at my own peril. So
yeah, I don't know if I don't know how much you heard about the last episode that you missed, but your character's gone with no explanation.
Yeah.
Whether or not they come back is entirely up to me.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about that. So from now on, he shall be known as Corey, the Grand Poobah of I don't know, something. I'll come up with something better.
Call me Boss Nas.
Okay.
It's Nas. All right. So very quickly, if you're watching this like the day that we release it, you may be wondering to yourself, why is there a Sliding into my DMs episode on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time and not a D&D optimized episode? And so in case you hadn't heard, I've been trying to get the word out, but just as a reminder, or I guess news for some of you, the D&D optimized episode is going to be up on the channel Thursday morning this week, and actually recording live with Randall Hampton, the artist, Wednesday night on his Twitch stream. Check around the channel for info, and I'll maybe try and put a link again here in the video description, so you can have that if you're able to watch live on the Twitch stream Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. I'm going to be presenting my weekly character build, and I think it's going to be a really cool and fun one. And he's going to draw it without knowing anything about it. He's just going to draw it live as I sort of present it. So I'm really excited to see how that turns out, what he comes up with. I know it will be good because I've seen his artwork and he's fantastic. So anyway, I think that's all the news. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Very cool.
It will be super cool. And yeah, well, anyway, I'm excited to see it. But for today, as always, I've got a couple of things that I want to talk about. First, we have the quick ruling, and I think it will be a super quick ruling. We'll see. And then there's a larger topic, a longer conversation that I want to have about some D&D news. So let's jump into the quick ruling first. And this is the question that I wanted to pose to you guys. This comes actually from way back when I did my Moon Druid build. This came up in the comments a couple of times, Moon Druid. And it's just kind of been sitting in my to talk about list for a while because there have been all these other what have felt like more pressing rulings that I wanted to answer. But for those who saw that, they may recall that my basic tactic with the Moon Druid was to turn into a bear and grapple, and then drag across spike growth, among other things, while mauling and dealing damage to the target. And some people were asking how grapple may interact with wild shape. And I didn't really know. And so I kind of wanted to pose it to you guys. So specifically, what happens if I'm grappling someone in wild shape, like say I turn into a bear or whatever, and I'm grappling them, and then I drop to 0 hit points and transform back into my like humanoid form or whatever? Are we still grappled? Or, the reverse of that, if I'm in humanoid form, I run up, I grapple somebody, and then wild shape. Are we still grappled? Does it break? And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I usually ask for you guys to make like a rules as written ruling, and then how you'd rule it at your table. When I read over like the description of grappling and wild shape, I can't really find anything that seems to indicate to me anyway that like there is a rules as written interpretation here. So it might just be, how would you rule this at your table? But I would be curious to know what you guys think. So who wants to start?
I'll go. Okay. I think so. Again, rules is written. There isn't really anything. Like I did just as much research when I found out that this was going to be the ruling this week, because I was like, that's weird. I don't know. It's a weird interaction to even talk about.
Sure.
The way that I probably would rule it, personally, would be if you drop to 0 hit points while you're wild shaped and drop out of your wild shape, you drop the grapple. Just because that feels like massive enough force that it would cause you. I mean, mechanically, there's no reason why you should drop.
Shrinking in size.
Yeah, you're shrinking. Your body
if you're
is
a bear,
shifting.
anyway.
You just took a bunch of damage. Like that's enough to break you, like to make you stumble away a few steps. If you run up to somebody and then grab them and then turn into an octopus, then you're just grabbing them with 8 tentacles instead of the two hands with 5 tiny tentacles on it.
Okay.
So
you're saying if you
10 tentacles on 2 hands. Sorry, math.
if you grapple first and then wild shape, you'd let grapple remain. If you are wild shaped and the grapple breaks, especially as a result of dropping to 0 hit points, the grapple breaks. What if I mean, this is never going to happen, but whatever. What if I willingly decide to drop my wild shape? And so I'm dropping wild shape. I didn't necessarily drop to 0 hit points and I'm like forced out of it. Is that different or no?
No. So I think you get the same results as if you wild shape into it as out of it, because if you're willingly doing something, it means you're aware of what you're doing, and it means that you are manipulating things so that you can continue to do what your character wants to do. If you get hit with damage though, and you get forcefully knocked out, it's the same reason why, like, I would say, you break a grapple if somebody pushes. Obviously, if somebody pushes you,
shoves you successfully,
or if something like massively crits you in the back, I might rule that as like, it's going to break your grapple too as an additional effect kind of thing. Obviously, that's a little harsh as a GM sometimes, and mechanically, I would say absolutely mechanically, if you want to run your game saying, you don't break your grapple technically, because there's no rule that says you drop. Well, there's a rule that says you drop any items you can't carry or they get merged into you. Which would
are you carrying this character?
Yeah, exactly. You're not really carrying, like, if you're dragging you just absorb them into yourself. You're like, well, that's easy. I don't really know what your guys' problem is.
No, we already had a quick ruling on that. That was the toad that swallows somebody and drops their wild shape. That's the same thing, right?
Yeah. So that's how I would rule it. I could see very much the player side of it of being like, well, there's no mechanical rule that says I break my grapple here. Right. And you could argue that probably successfully with me, because it's one of those points where I'm just like, it doesn't matter. Just take it. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. What do you guys think? Tori, what do you think?
So I think that's a great idea, Corey. I would do it differently though.
Oh.
So what I would do is when you are no longer in wild shape, I would have you re-roll your strength check to see if you can still hold on. Okay.
I like that.
And If you succeed, then they're still grappled. I mean, it might be a little uncomfortable. What if you're normally a gnome? You're just like sticky back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But
If you're biting them.
That's what I was going to
as the
say.
grapple.
Yeah.
In
Better
that
yet.
form, are you biting them as a human?
Yeah. Better yet, if you're grappling, yeah, maybe it depends, right? You're grappling them as a bear, but you're grappling with your teeth, so you can like make claw attacks, and then you turn back into a gnome, and you're just like, "Ang, ang, 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 ang."
oh my gosh, I love it. So yeah, that's what you're going to do. If you fail, I would say then I want you to roll a dex save to see if you can land on your feet. And if you fail, you're knocked prone.
I like it.
All right. All right.
Well, I would do it a third different way.
Wow, look at you guys.
Similar to Tori, though. And I like what Corey said, and I think after hearing what he's had to say with it, maybe I would incorporate that in some way. But I'd already thought about this, and so I'm just going to say what I had thought about. So when you get knocked to zero in the gap, basically I would have you roll, but with disadvantage on your check. That's how I would do it there. Yeah. So if you break, then whatever, that is what it is. You just lose the grapple, but you have the chance at disadvantage to maintain the grapple. So that'd be how I rule it.
I like that. I like both of these ways to be like, you can take the advantage or you can take the disadvantage off, but if you fail, you might fall prone because you're scrambling, or you can take it at a disadvantage and then just have it be kind of a safety, like hands-off type thing. Yeah.
Right.
So still allowing for the grapple to potentially be there, but forcing a die roll with a potential negative consequence, even maybe if you fail.
Right. Yeah, because as the DM, I just don't want to be the reason that something cool didn't happen in the story. So I'm like, well, let's just let it go to fate. Like, we're gonna let the dice decide it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Okay.
Well, I was
go ahead.
Going to say, side note, when I was typing up some notes, my computer corrected Dex to say sexy. And I wondered, what
a sexy save.
Like, I think that
sexy check.
It could be strength. It could be.
It's definitely charisma, right?
It's just a bar.
It depends on the person. It could be intelligence.
Depends on who you're trying to be sexy for, right?
Exactly.
What shakes their.
Where
am I going with that metaphor?
That can recite all of Shakespeare, and you need an intellect sexy check.
Absolutely.
Right, good one.
Next game that I run, there will be a sexy check for everyone.
That's going to be the title of this episode now, I think.
Can you roll a sexy check?
Sexy check. And people are going to like click on it and be like, you totally clickbaited me. This has nothing to do with like sexy checks. It'll be like,
sexy check. 2 out of 4. 2 out of 4. Sorry, Dallin.
That's funny. No, Dallin for sure succeeds on his sexy check.
Okay, who is the other one that fails then, Colby?
Me?
No.
Me.
I'm like boring.
This is a 4 for 4 sexy check.
Well, okay.
Man.
I prefer that.
We all have our own strengths.
I like Dallin's promotion as compared to my self-deprecation. We balance each other out nicely, I think.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Well, thank you for that clarification. I will know now next time when I play this character to what to anticipate depending on who my DM is. Yeah.
Why has nobody in our games ever played a druid?
I know.
Seriously, guys.
Okay,
they're the coolest class ever.
Yeah. You're right.
I have nothing to say for myself other than we don't have enough games. And so like, I'm confident that eventually I would get around to it. There are just so many other things that I also want to play. Half of them are monks and the other half are blade singers. So I don't know what to do.
I really wanted to push Tori with Eve to be a druid at the beginning there, because you were talking about like being kind of nature based, and I was like,
for the Tales of Veneria, our live play games that you should all be watching, hopefully. Yeah, her character there.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the larger topic for today, and we're back. Shout out to Preston, who I think I was saying earlier, this is, I believe, the first time in the in the modern era of the sliding into my DMs, whatever that means, basically since we've been doing it in this Zoom call format, that he has not been with us. So I don't know what happened to Preston. Has anybody seen him? Okay?
He might be on the inside of a gym dragon.
Ooh.
But
in this case, let's pour one out. This one goes out to him, what we're going to talk about, right?
Nice segue. I would pour this onto my carpet, but then my wife would get really mad at me. So I'm just going to drink it instead.
Pour one out into your mouth.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, nice segue, Dallin, because yes, today we are going to talk about Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. Okay, so a few weeks ago, might even have been a few months ago at this point, we did a DM's episode on the draconic options that were introduced as Unearthed Arcana at the time, right? And it gave us like some cool like dragon focused feats, some dragon focused spells, and even some new draconic races. Turns out that was all part of this new upcoming book, Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. Comes out October 19th, right, of 2021. And, you know, I might cut this, but I might try and put an Amazon affiliate link in the video description in case you want to pre-order it. If you use that link, then it's good for us. We might make a few pennies. Anyway, we wanted to talk about it today because it's introduced a couple of new subclasses, and you know, I want to take a look at them. But maybe before we do that, Corey, if I could ask you, could you give us a little bit of like an overview of what we know so far about this new Fizban's book, and who, by the way, is Fizban?
Sure, I'd be absolutely happy to help as a resident like lore looker upper. I can't say lore master because I don't really know all the lore, but the first paragraph of this is absolutely incredible. It says, "Meet Fizban the Fabulous, doddering archmage, unlikely hero of the War of the Lance, divine avatar of a dragon god." Wait, that last one, it does make sense. That's crazy. And your guide to the mysterious of dragon kind in Dungeons and Dragons. Fizban is basically, he's in the Dragonlance setting. I think you know more about Dragonlance than I do, Colby. But he's this old mage. In fact, they put some promo art, including a picture of Fizban, up on the site. I don't know if we do the editing capacity to show it as well, but if so, there it is.
I'll
if
try
not,
to put it like right here.
Is he the one with the little golden bird?
Yep, he is.
Fizban?
Yeah.
Yep.
I have to ask, and I think I've asked before, but have any of you guys read any of the Dragonlance books before? It's just me.
Fortunately, no. It's on my list of things to read when I finish the things that I already have to read, and that list is pretty long.
Dragonlance Chronicles, like the original sort of trilogy, right? I loved as a kid. The really cool thing about it, for those who don't know, Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss, who wrote the books, actually, like, they basically played a D&D campaign. It was like a homebrew D&D campaign, and like recorded everything that happened, and then just sort of took it and like shaped it into a series of novels.
The original actual play.
Yeah, that were incredibly successful and branched off into many like iterations: Dragonlance Legends, Dragonlance Tales, Dragonlance blah 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 blah. But yeah, Fizban is a fantastic character in that series.
Nice. So there's a lot of things coming with players. You get new subclasses, feats, and spells, and we'll get to the subclasses in a minute here because that's what we kind of want to focus on today. The whole book has Fizban commentary throughout, like they've done with Tosh's Cauldron of Everything and Van Richten's. Like they've got it that kind of interspersed with little messages and everything. And notably, apparently, Amy Vorpal, very famous D&D'er, she did all of the writing for Fizban. So
nice.
Cool.
All the commentary you see is her writing. So that's really awesome. And then there is a third of the book that's dedicated to like talking to the DM about like how to better plan dragon encounters, how to make an adventure with dragons, how to deal with like their hordes or their personalities, that sort of things. And then the last third, or not, I don't know if it's the last third in the book, but the other third is the monster manual version, right? All the monsters that you'll find within there, which include gem dragons, which the first time we've seen them since, I think, 3.5. I don't think they existed in 4th edition. At least I never saw them. but I could be wrong. Yeah, take a drink. They have, notably also they have Gem Dragonborn, which there's a cool picture of the Gem Dragonborn as well. Your first look at them in 5th edition. They look really cool.
Nice.
They showed off a few other images of monsters that are going to show up, including one of a silver great worm, which are these like worms that are so powerful that they split off pieces of themselves, or they have echoes in other planes, but they all share the same mind. So you'll interact with the dragon, and it'll be the same dragon between realms, so they'll remember what everybody did and everything.
Nice.
And then they also showed off an ancient dragon turtle, which is a dragon. And that picture, like if there's only one picture that I demand that you show, it is that ancient dragon turtle picture, because holy crap, it is amazing. Like it looks, it looks like the stuff of nightmares, the kaiju of nightmares, basically.
Nice.
And then they also are including Draconians, which is a notable Dragonlance thing, which are these monstrous dragonoid humans that got like experimented on, and sometimes they explode, and sometimes they like melt into acid. Like it's crazy stuff.
They're like the orcs of the Dragonlance world. Like when you first meet them, they're terrifying, but then as the characters level up, they become sort of like the grunts of like, you know what I mean?
God, these guys again.
Yeah. But then, yeah, they're a fantastic enemy. I love the Draconians.
And then notably, it is also going to have information on what reveals the story of the first world and the role Bahamut and Tiamat played in its creation and destruction, which is something that I don't know if has been talked about a lot before, but it seems like we're getting a whole like condensed version of it. So if you love Tiamat as much as I do, like I've got her up there and right there. I have 2 Tiamats. Anyway, but I love Tiamat, I love Bahamut, I love everything to do with dragons. Like if there's one mythical creature that I could be, it would be a dragon. Because
so one question that I had when I was kind of looking over the overview stuff before, when we got the draconic options Unearthed Arcana, these new Dragonborn were presented as new races, right? New player option races, and now I think they're calling them ancestries. And I'm just wondering, like, if that's just going to be semantics, kind of like how with the Ravenloft book, they took like the undead and the Dampier and stuff. They're not calling them races; they're calling them lineages, right?
Yeah.
But they essentially function for all intents and purposes like the race function feature in the game. I don't know if we have any sort of insight there, or if it's speculation at this point. Do you know?
Yeah. So this is part of the Wizards of the Coast's attempts and continual moving forward to get away from the idea of race being a factor in D&D, right? Your race doesn't define who you are. It doesn't mean that you have lesser opportunities, etc. Like this kind of motto that they've been going with. So they're calling them lineages. They're calling them ancestries. I'd say look at it more like you have an elf, and then you have like 20 different types of elves that you can pick. You know, that's each one of those is an individual ancestry. Right. So
you have a Dragonborn, and they're just different options for other types of Dragonborn.
Yep, it's basically like I'm a Dragonborn chromatic, I'm a Dragonborn metallic, I'm a Dragonborn gem.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I wouldn't be surprised if, when 6th edition it's okay. if when 6th edition finally comes out, whenever that is, I bet they don't even use the word race. I bet they go with like lineage or some other like background type word, heritage, something like that. Okay, cool. So I want to spend the rest of the time then devoted to the 2 new subclasses that we have been given quite a bit of detail on. They're still in like, playtest Unearthed Arcana mode, right? But they are subraces for, I believe, the 2 most unpopular and underused and probably underpowered classes in the game right now, the Ranger and the Monk. So my question is, is Wizards doing enough here to address what I perceive, and I think other people perceive as being like an underutilized and arguably underpowered class in the game? I don't know. Let's find out. So I've asked Dallin and Tori to give us a little bit of an overview here on the Drakewarden and on the
Way of the Ascendant Dragon.
Yeah, the Ascendant Dragon monk. And just kind of tell us a little bit about what we know about him, and then we can kind of talk about, maybe we can analyze as we go, I suppose, just kind of the new features and abilities they're getting, and if we think that they're balanced or not, et cetera, et cetera. So why don't we start, Tori, with you, if you would. Tell us about the Drakewarden Ranger.
Okay. If I had to summarize it in a sentence, it would be, you get a freaking dragon as a beast companion. Well, technically a drake, which is not a full-blown dragon, but
like Beastmaster, not even 2.0, Beastmaster 3.0, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
How to train
It's
your
awesome.
Drake.
How to
Your
train
Drake.
your Drake. And
And you can name it Toothless if you want.
all right.
So here's how it works. When you're first starting out, you want to determine how you have gained a bond with that drake. And they have some examples and ideas of, and you can do whatever you want. But one that I liked was, you were given a drake egg to care for. Okay. And it could have been given to you.
Norbert, yeah.
It could have been given to you by a true dragon, or I don't know, maybe you found the egg. You could come up with a fun story. And the drake hatches, and mama, we've got a Mando Grogu situation on our hands.
Yes.
Perfect.
I love it.
So I love that. And you can choose whatever you want. They have a table, a couple of things that you get at level 3. The first one is you get Draconic Gift. So you can now read, write, speak Draconic. And you learn the cantrip, the Thaumaturgy. Did I say it right?
I think so. Thaumaturgy.
Thaumaturgy.
Cantrip as a ranger spell. So essentially you get to scare the crap out of your enemies with that, or your comrades, just for fun.
Mhm.
In fact, I can see any of Colby's characters using this against any of Preston's characters.
It's baked in. It's just a baked in,
Yeah.
like sibling rivalry.
Yeah, I could see
really
that. I could see that.
Yeah.
Will be ever
So
the
that was
antagonist.
kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that useful, that cantrip? I don't really think so, but it's fun. It adds flavor, right?
I want to know, leave us a comment when you
Yeah.
used Thaumaturgy in game to like great effect, not just, well, actually for fun, or like that ended up doing something like really useful for your campaign, for your characters, your party. Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm super interested to hear those answers, because it's like, you can make a window fly open, you can change the color of your eyes or whatever. I mean, yeah, that'd be kind of scary, but I would be interested to hear if someone's used that in an impactful way. Okay, so level 3 is also when you get your Drake companion. So it's hatched or whatever, it comes to you. And so it's similar to the Beastmaster archetype in that respect, that at level 3 is when you get this companion. And with that companion, as an action, you can summon the Drake within 30 feet of you. It can look however you want it to, so you can choose what it looks like, and it will share your initiative count, taking the turn immediately after yours. It can move and use its reaction on its own, but if you, on its turn, it will always use the dodge action unless you use a bonus action to tell it to do something differently.
Right.
So that's pretty run of the mill.
Pretty standard, yeah.
Pretty standard. Yep.
It can only be summoned once per long rest unless you use a spell slot to summon it, a first level or higher.
And this to me, sorry if I may pause
Mhm.
there, like that to me really stood out as being almost shocking. Like, okay, so when they came out with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything and updated the Beastmaster, right, and gave him the primal companions that are just really just way better than the player's handbook version of the Beastmaster Ranger. You have your primal companion basically all the time unless they die, and then you can bring them back similarly with a first level spell or after a long rest. And so the fact that this Drake, you only get it only lasts for like proficiency bonus number of
Mhm.
hours per day. So
Mhm.
2 when you first get it, right? And then you have to spend a spell slot to bring them back after that. That's like, ugh, that hurts to me.
Yeah.
Like that's a big.
I feel like maybe out of playtesting that will get changed because that's not even in line with the Beastmaster the way that it is. So that seems weird.
That said, and sorry, Tori, we'll get into this. I do think, and I've done some number crunching, surprising no one. Like, it does have an edge on the Primal Companion for just pure damage, and so like maybe that's their attempt to balance it, right? But I think they might have gone too far by saying like once per day you get it for 2 hours or 3 hours or 4, later, whatever. It's like. Like at early levels, you're gonna be choosing essentially, on subsequent fights. Like, do I want to use Hunter's Mark or do I want to resummon my companion because I only have 1 spell slot left or whatever, Yeah. So it's gonna be tough. But anyway, sorry.
Well, so a couple things to note on this. Number one, like it gets other features with it that the Primal Companion doesn't, right? And that reaction, that infused strike that it gets, that we'll talk about in just a moment here, definitely to me feels like it's worth sacrificing a Hunter's Mark because it's the same. Like it's
Okay, so something cool here is that when you summon the Drake, you can choose the damage type that it will inflict upon enemies. So acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. And the Drake also becomes immune to that damage type. So that determines the damage type for both its bite, which is an action, and then also its infused strike, which is a reaction. And this is called its draconic essence, which kind of sounds like a bougie nerd perfume, like ode to draconic essence, like, doesn't it?
That's going on our merch. We've got to essence. Yeah, we need to like find a perfume maker, and get a contract with them.
We need Joe Manganiello to do the reading of it and just be like draconic essence,
yes,
number 23 or whatever. Be perfect.
That's awesome.
That does bypass a lot of early resistances by not having a slashing, piercing, or bludgeoning attack. You definitely have a little bit of an edge there.
If you run into,
yes, I see that flyer flying around.
He smells your draconic essence. He's drawn to it.
Excuse me for that draconic essence.
Anyway.
Cut that out.
No way.
No way.
Absolutely not.
Great.
Okay, tell us more.
Okay. Any other comments on that before I move on to level 7?
Oh, sure. Actually, yes. Okay, so can I do a little geeky, nerdy number analysis?
That's what people are here for.
I guess so.
Okay, so if we compare the primal beast of the land to this Drake, right? Just at level 3 when we first get it. We're talking, okay, the Drake has a 1 higher AC. They've got the same number of hit points. They do have better saving throws and the damage immunity. So generally they're tankier overall, right? The plus to hit for the Drake is 3 plus your proficiency bonus, as opposed to the Primal Companion, which is based on your spell to hit, which always bugged me. That was the one thing that really bugged me about like the new updated Beastmaster Primal Companion is like, I think most Rangers, at least me, are going to tend to focus on their like martial stat, dexterity or strength. And so now to have your Primal Companion based on like your wisdom score is a little bit like, unless you're going to go like a Shillelagh build. And yes, I pronounced it right. Don't correct me in the comments unless you're Irish or Scottish or you otherwise speak Gaelic, because I know that if you Google it, it says Shillelagh. But I've watched all kinds of videos from like Gaelic speaking people, and they say it's more common to say Shillelagh. So there you go. Anyway,
I love that rant. It's fun.
Yeah,
because I always get it wrong. I always get it wrong. So yeah, I'm if you're gonna do a Shillelagh build, which I will one day, but not anytime soon, I don't think. So you do have a better plus to hit with the Drake, I think, generally, unless you're doing a wisdom focused ranger, right? But I am kind of annoyed that you can't get that plus to hit a little bit higher. It just stays at 3 plus proficiency bonus always. So it's not stat dependent at all. So it's probably better early, but worse late, right? Anyway, as for damage, okay, you're essentially getting 2d6 plus your proficiency bonus because the bite attack is a 1d6 plus your proficiency bonus, and then it can use its reaction to do another d6 of damage added on top of like a companion's attack, right? But for all intents and purposes, 2d6 plus your proficiency bonus per round, as opposed to the primal companions, 1d8 plus 2 plus proficiency bonus. The difference between those numbers is 0.5 damage per round, right?
Yeah.
Now the primal companion does have a little bit more reliability on doing that damage, so it's probably worth a little bit more, right, depending on the enemy armor class, et cetera. But the damage is almost identical. And so to me, then when I go, okay, well, like, am I running out of spell slots, and now do I have to choose between using like Hunter's Mark or not? Like, if the Beastmaster, who's not spending spell slots to summon their companion, can then apply an extra 1d6 on every attack because they have Hunter's Mark up, then they definitely have the advantage early on from a numbers perspective. So yeah, that's my little numbers analysis. I think advantage Beastmaster.
Yeah,
for what it's worth.
Counterpoint, it's
agree.
a Drake. It's
I know,
literally almost a dragon.
I know, and it's not just about the numbers.
Drakewarden.
Not just about the numbers, but still. But we can make our primal companion look however we want. So you can just make it look like a freaking Drake if you wanted to. And
that's a lie. That primal companion Drake. Is a lie.
Fake Drake.
At level 7, you now get something called the Bond of Fang and Scale. And I think this is really cool. So basically you're becoming one with this Drake. And you know how like old couples who've been together for a really long time, they start to like look like each other because they're like, yes, that's what I was going to say.
You guys have lots of little girls living in your home.
We do.
I have no children in my home, and I knew what that was, Colby. So,
well, I did too, but I'm just saying, not everybody is a Frozen connoisseur.
That's a deep cut for all the moms and dads out there.
Ice cream, a good ice cube. Is that a Frozen connoisseur?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So with the Bond of Fang and Scale, when you summon your Drake, you now gain the resistance to the damage type of your choice when you that draconic essence. And I paused.
It's not static
for flair. So you can put in a link to our perfume right there. Thanks.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Gotta get work on
okay. So the next thing you get to choose is
wait.
Oh,
because I don't think did I miss it? Did you not mention it? They also get an extra 1d6 damage on their bite.
Oh yes.
Which is not
more
the
damage.
Most important part for people who aren't
just
lame.
The people who watch.
But for me,
show.
It's the important part.
I have it written in my notes, but it's at the end of this paragraph as an afterthought.
So I'm feeling like by level 7 now, it's almost like, okay, well maybe now like we're a little more balanced, right? The fact that you might have to be sacrificing a spell slot potentially to summon this character, but it does like significantly more damage at this point. Anyway, it's kind of a point in favor, I think, of the Drake. Sorry.
For sure. And I feel like level 7, I mean, in your opinion, where do most campaigns start with what level? Most people don't. They skip the lower levels, right?
At our table or at other tables?
Hey, I am not every DM. Yep. I wanted you guys to have the full experience.
It's probably common like 2, 3, or 4 because that's kind of when you pick your subclasses.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have said 1, but. Maybe.
Oh, really?
Let us know.
I think 3 is the common.
Let us know in the comments what level your campaigns typically start at. That's not a question I've ever asked of my viewers before, I don't think. So anyway.
So give us your thaumaturgy story and what level do your campaigns start? All right, I'll keep it a list and we'll remind you at the end.
Okay, so also you get to choose if you want your Drake to become like amphibian or airborne. So they can either gain a swimming speed of 40 feet and they can breathe air and water, or they can grow wings and they can gain a flying speed of 40 feet. Plus that damage
real
for the
dragon.
bite attack. I'm growing up, Mom.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
But if you want to do the swimming speed, you could have a very Eastern style dragon if you wanted to. A little sisu going on there.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, nice. We're throwing out all the Disney references today.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We're trying to cash that Disney royalty check.
No, we're gonna get copyright striked.
Not a sponsor yet. I'm sure they will be soon.
Wait till we get our movie.
Yeah.
Now at level 11, we are just pumping up that dragon flare, and both you and your Drake can exhale a 30-foot cone of acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage, and you get to choose what that is.
So cool.
Yeah, you're just both killing everyone. I hope
back to back cones in both directions. Just so
well, okay. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't you choosing like you?
Yeah, you can't do it back
or
back.
they do it.
But that's still awesome that you can do it.
At my table, back to back, it's happening.
It's flavor.
Yeah.
All right.
So of course, this doesn't involve a dex save by the enemy and can only be used once per long rest, unless you want to expend a spell. I think I had a stroke for a second. A spell slot of third level or higher.
So equivalent to like a fireball spell level.
Yep.
Yes, but less damage than a fireball, right? 66 as opposed to 86. And for comparison, like so the Beastmaster at this level, their pet gets an entire extra attack at level 11.
Yeah.
So now potentially, you're making like you could be making 2 attacks as the ranger, and now your beast is making 2 attacks. That's like I mean, it's not quite equivalent to a fighter because your fighter attacks are going to be probably more potent, but still 4 attacks in a turn. That's really good. And as cool as this like cone of AoE damage could be potentially, like it's better than any other ranger area of effect spell. Like the best you could do as a ranger right now is Conjure Barrage, which is only a 3d8. So that's pretty weak. So 66 is a lot better than that, but it's still like not a particularly great area of effect spell, especially for an 11th level character, I don't think, right? And so to me, it feels a little like, like flavor wise, really cool. Like actual numbers wise, I think advantage Beastmaster here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But unless of course, like you're using it to great effect to hit like a ton of enemies, you know what I mean? And they're all low dex, so they're taking a bunch of dex damage. I mean, it's gonna be their saving throw is gonna be against your wisdom based spell DC, and so depending on how you build the character, that might not be super high. So there's just some things about it that kind of make me go, I feel a little underwhelmed by this, just numerically.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
counterpoint, it is still a dragon companion that you get.
Breathing like fire or lightning, or I get it. I get it.
It is once for free. It is not just spell slots. It is once for free.
That first time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sure.
So finally, at level 15, you gain a perfected bond with your Drake. Your Drake grows to large.
Now it's a real dragon. Finally, grew up.
And you get even more damage for that bite attack. And at this point, if either you or the Drake take damage while within 30 feet of each other, you can use your reaction to give yourself or the Drake resistance to that damage type.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a nice little perk there.
Yeah, every turn being able to gain resistance on one attack that would otherwise be completely devastating.
Yeah.
That seems pretty good to me. Yeah. And that might be the point of the Drakewarden, is make it a little bit more tanky rather than
a tanky ranger.
Who knows?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'd play it. In fact, this is my next character. If I play a character again, it is going to be a Drakewarden. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Or a
what
druid.
you're I was gonna say you're not gonna go through it. You
Or a
just gave
druid.
us all this shade about not
Until
playing
they
true,
have a
true.
druid that can turn into a dragon.
They could do it like as a 9th level spell anyway.
Yeah.
Or 8th level maybe. Anyway. Okay. Sorry, Tori. What are your final thoughts? What's your verdict here?
Final thoughts. Yeah, it's really, really cool. I do think maybe some of those, like what happens at the 11th level, maybe if they scaled that so it happens sooner, that might make a little more sense to making it a bit more powerful earlier on to stay more in line with Beastmaster. But I love it. I want my little egg, my little eggy,
Yeah.
and raise it into a big boy.
A little glitter bug to call your own.
I do think that despite my criticisms as we've gone, I do feel like it's pretty well balanced. Like just comparing it straight up to the Beastmaster anyway. Like there are times when the Beastmaster maybe has the edge, and then there are times where the Drakewarden would, and I think they kind of almost leapfrog each other as you advance in character level, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's definitely times and situations and scenarios where like you'd probably rather have the Beastmaster, just again speaking numerically, and times where the Drakewarden maybe might shine better. I think I would like to see, I hope anyway, that before release that they just give a little tweak to that initial like you can only summon it once per day and it only lasts like number of proficiency bonus, your number of hours times your proficiency bonus. I hope that they'll do like maybe proficiency bonus times per day and it lasts proficiency bonus number of hours or something like that, just to give me just 1 or 2 more summonings without having to dip into my spell slots. Sorry. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. What do you think, Corey? We know what you think. It's a freaking dragon.
Yeah.
And the numbers don't matter.
You don't need
it's
to.
amazing.
Yep.
And you love it.
Yep. You can skip right to Mr. Rogers here.
All right. No, this is actually working out exactly how I had envisioned with Tori and Dallin giving us the overview and me like number crunching and Corey being like, you're an idiot. Numbers are stupid. And this is why this is amazing. So yeah, it's all according to plan.
I do personally think that I'd like to see the companions stick around all the time. Yeah, because it's one of those things where it's like you're given a dragon egg that you can summon once per day for 2 hours.
Where does it go after it hatches?
Yeah.
Well, all right, Mr. Rogers.
All right.
Why don't you tell us about my favorite class in the game that is still just broken? And I just spoiler warning, I'm gonna be a glass half empty guy on this one. So I'm just gonna be an old curmudgeon-y old man complaining about how underpowered monks are this whole time. So go ahead.
Perfect. Well, first I have to just start by saying I'm excited to see a book entirely dedicated to dragons. I mean, it is 50% of the game's title after all. So it's good that we finally get to see this. So this is the Way of the Ascendant Dragon. It's a monk subclass. So first off, you have to choose how your ki is influenced by this dragon origin, essentially. So it gives you some options. There's a little D6 roll table you can use. The one that I thought sounded cool was on the table. It says, after a dream that featured a five-handed dragonborn, you awoke with altered ki, reflecting the breaths of dragons. So interesting.
I am Danny Rand, the Iron Fist.
That's right.
Yeah, that's my draconic origin.
Exactly. So at level 3, you get Draconic Discipline. This is at the 3rd level again. You channel your Draconic ki to imbue your unarmed strikes with the essence of a dragon's breath. And to use your connection with draconic creatures to magnify your presence, you gain the following benefits. When you damage a target with an unarmed strike, you can change the damage to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. If you can't already, you learn to speak, read, and write Draconic. If you fail a charisma, intimidation, or persuasion check, you can use your reaction to reroll the check. As you tap into the mighty presence of dragons, once this feature turns a failure to a success, you can't use it again until a long rest. So
reroll that sexy check. Nice.
Yeah, reroll the sexy check until you succeed, and then you're done.
Yeah.
And then you also get Breath of the Dragon at 3rd level. You channel your ki into destructive waves of energy, like the dragons you emulate. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of the attacks with an exhalation of draconic energy in either a 20-foot cone or a 30-foot line that's 5 feet wide, your choice, which is really cool. And you get to choose the damage type again: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. And then they make a dexterity save against your key save DC. I guess it's very similar to the Rangers using your wisdom.
And it's like, okay, so since Tasha's came out, right? There's an optional class feature for monks where they could potentially, as long as your DM allows you to use Tasha's, you could use a longsword as a monk weapon, meaning you could use your dexterity to attack with it. And there's no prohibition against us using it as a versatile weapon, which it is, right? So using 2 hands and still being able to then make unarmed strikes as bonus actions and stuff like that. So we could be potentially as an attack doing a D10 of damage plus probably 3 or 4, depending on our dexterity or maybe strength, if you're going to strength monk, which would be weird, but it's possible, as an attack, or 2d4 in a 20-foot cone as an attack, right? And it's just like again, I guess if like you have an enemy that just has a couple of hit points left and you're pretty sure they only have a couple of hit points left, and you could hit them with this and maybe 1 or 2 other enemies, like I could see it being used. But otherwise it's just like conceptually awesome, like, right. But like in practice, and frankly it feels like everything else that Wizards of the Coast tries to do with monk, like awesome idea, poorly executed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's my 2 cents. It's just like,
I wouldn't say that poorly executed is the right word. Not optimized would probably be the preferable term for you, because I personally see this. I personally see this as I've got 3 goblins in front of me, or 3 little tiny creatures that are they're pretty fast, but they're low on HP, or they have smaller HPs. I can hit one of them with my longsword and then hit another one with my longsword, or I can just blast them all and deal at least 2 attacks. Yeah, or I can blast them all with my unarmed strike and do 2d4 halved on a success, so that they're always taking some damage no matter what. And that only increases as your martial dice goes up, especially once we get to 11th level, right? Because it increases
at 11th level. You get to increases to 3 rolls of your martial arts die instead of 2.
And at that point, your martial arts die is a D8.
Yeah.
Right. So that's much better.
So at level 11, doing 3d8 instead of like a weapon attack or whatever. Okay, yeah, like that's pretty good. Now we're talking.
It's still weak compared to fireball or whatever, though.
Well, but you would potentially, like, theoretically get an attack, right? Because you have to use one of your attacks. This is not
it's not
unarmed strike bonus action, right? And so once you have 2 attacks, maybe for example you're doing like a longsword attack and then a breath weapon attack, and that's pretty cool. But like, who in their right mind is going to play a monk to level 11 to get it to where it's actually like good? I'll tell you who will. I will.
I was going to say, if you don't, I might have to change my next class.
I'm going to complain about it all the way until I get levels 1 through 10.
Awesome.
I'm well aware of how much you complain about monks.
So
I've experienced it personally.
Nice. That's true. As far as uses, you can use this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest, and then if you run out, you can actually use a key point to use the feature again. So it's another way to use your key points, essentially.
Very cool.
Awesome. So then at 6th level, Way of the Ascendant Dragon, you get Wings Unfurled. When you use your Step of the Wind, you can unfurl spectral draconic wings from your back that vanish at the end of the turn. While the wings exist, you have a flying speed equal to your walking speed. You can use this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain them all on a long rest. Again, similar with the other one, if you run out, you can use a key point to activate this. So basically, you just get a fly for 1 turn.
Yeah, so like, I mean, okay, Step of the Wind, you spend a key point and do almost what a rogue gets to do for free at level 2, right? Which is disengage or dash as a bonus action, but rogues also get to hide and it doesn't cost him any resources. Okay, whatever. And now you get to fly while you're doing that, and that's cool. But like so many things for me, like so many things with the monk, like really cool the 1 or 2 times per campaign that you actually use it. You know what I mean? But like otherwise, like how often am I spending a key point in order to disengage or dash? And then like I need to fly for some reason. Like again, when it happens, it'll be awesome.
I don't know, that final battle we had with Tiamat where the map was huge.
Sure.
Flying would have been nice because you could run your speed and then key point and fly. Absolutely. But that was the one time. Like
I say, you get these cool things where I'm walking on water like once or twice in a campaign. It's like, that was so awesome. And there's something to be said for that. Don't get me wrong. Like creating memorable, cool story moments, role play moments, awesome. But just like, I don't know, it's just kind of like, okay, like, yeah, that will be really cool once in a while. I don't know that I would actually use it all that often because like my key points are so precious as a monk, right? And spending them is really difficult to stomach. Anyway.
Yeah.
Corey, go ahead. Put me in my place.
Okay, so one of the other monk features that you love to talk about only utilizing every now and then is the falling damage one.
Sure.
And this lets you use both anytime you want. You can fly right up into the air, drop down on an opponent. Imagine if you will, you're getting ready for an ambush. Mm-hmm. And instead of spending your turn hiding, you spend your turn flying up into the air and then the next turn falling down on the enemies to ambush them.
Yeah. Sure.
Way better to me.
Super cool.
Yep.
And you know, really fun and unique and flavorful. And you know, how much damage are you going to do? Like they're going to take
no, don't worry about the damage. Don't worry about the damage. Don't worry. We're not worrying about damage right now. It's just doing flavor.
The monk is the class of all flavor, no damage.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the truth.
All style, no substance.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I take that back. All style, some substance.
Some substance. Yeah. Okay, so then level 11. You get Aspect of the Worm. So the power of your Draconic Key now radiates from you, protecting your allies from harm and punishing any who raise arms against them. So you get kind of like a little aura, essentially, like a paladin. You can create an aura of Draconic power that radiates 30 feet from you for 1 minute. Choose Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning, or Poison. For the duration, you gain the following effects. You and your allies within your aura gain resistance to the chosen type, damage type. And then waves of destructive energy flow out from you and your allies. When any of you are attacked, when any of you are attacked, sorry. When you or one of your allies in the aura is hit by an attack made by another creature, the target that was hit can use their reaction to deal an amount of damage of the chosen type equal to one of your martial arts die to the attacker. It's kind of confusing. It's a mouthful. But essentially, if they hit one of your companions, they can use your reaction and roll your martial arts die to hurt them with whatever the type is, fire, damage, lightning, whatever.
So to be clear, at character level 11,
yes,
me or one of my companions could use their reaction to do an average of 4.5 damage. Ooh.
And they get resistance to the chosen type.
And they get resistance.
And it's consistent damage for 1 minute. Every time somebody gets hit, as long as you're staying in your little bubble.
But if
it's not nothing.
Depending on your character, like your reaction might be very valuable, right?
True.
You might be intercepting damage and reducing it from somebody, or casting a shield spell, or taking an opportunity attack, or any other number of things, which are way better than 4.5 damage.
Yeah.
Anyway, I told you, grumpy old man, get off my lawn.
Here's the part that kills me with it, though, is once you use it, if you want to use it again, you have to use 4 key points. That's way too many, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's almost half of our key points at this point.
It's like, great. If you're maybe really low on HP and all of your party is, and okay, maybe that makes sense at that point to kind of tank up your team and get the resistance, but I just can't really see that happening all that often.
That's good for like a dragon fight specifically. It's like, oh, we're fighting a white dragon. Well, guess what? Everybody within 30 feet of me is now resistant to cold damage.
Yeah. See, that's awesome. But again, how often are you going to be fighting?
Yeah, and it's not a concentration spell either. It doesn't require any sort of fire. Yeah.
Yeah. Every once in a while, it'll be awesome. And then finally, 17th level, Ascendant Aspect. So your Draconic Key reaches its peak. You gain the following benefits. Blind Sight out to 30 feet.
Best build ever.
Yep.
Flat out blind sight, like best thing ever in D&D. Dealing with darkness for this entire time, I can say that this is officially the best class.
And they can see invisible too. Not only blind sight, but they can see invisible.
Yes. Within that range, you effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness. Which we just touched on that. And then moreover, you can see invisible creatures. So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
When you damage a creature with your Breath of the Dragon, the energy clings to the target. At the start of each of the creature's turn, it takes damage of the type that your breath dealt, equal to one roll of your martial arts die. Again, not that much damage, but now it's persistent. So it's looking better.
That's a D10 at this level.
So it does an initial 3d10 of the damage type,
and then a D10,
and then a D10 every turn unless they save out of it.
Yes, they can make a save to end that effect. So that's kind of nice. It's like splashing them with acid, and then it continually burns them, or lighting them on fire, and their clothes are still on fire for a couple turns or whatever. When you activate your aspect of the worm, Draconic Fury explodes from you. Choose any number of creatures you can see within your aura. Those creatures take 4d10 acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. So right when you do your little aura, right away you can just run into the middle of a group and just boom and hit them with that. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool. But and it's no save. No save on that.
Right. Yeah. You just run out there, give them 4d10 of whatever damage you want out of those options. So that's not bad. But it is 17th level. That takes forever to get there.
Right.
I think you can get. There's other things out there that allow you to do 4d10 damage earlier on.
Well, right, yeah. So like when I first read the 17th level features, I actually was like, okay, like now we're getting somewhere. Like this is pretty decent. Like an extra D10 per turn is not nothing, right? And then like a 4d10 AOE, like that's kind of cool. Like maybe I could see like maybe almost creating like an AOE based, an area of effect based character here, where like I'm doing these like cone attacks and like 4d10 area attacks. And then like my next thought was, or if I'm going to be a 17th level character, I'll be a freaking wizard and do Meteor Swarm, which does 40d6 damage from a mile away in like an 80-foot sphere. It's like, well, yeah, if you're trying this is consistent, it's a little more consistent damage. And
you're trying to compare apples and oranges though, because like the wizard is specifically built for that. Sure. Like that's the point of it. The monk is not. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean,
I don't know. It still doesn't fix the monk in any way, shape, or form, but it does add some. It makes it a little nicer, and there's some cool flavor here.
Yeah,
but again, the monk's always been dripping with flavor. So.
Yeah, like to me, obviously you guys know how much I love monks. They're my favorite class in the game. And like a dragon monk, like, are you kidding? This is like, I feel like a kid at Christmas. This is like the greatest thing in D&D ever. And then reading through it, I'm just like, oh, it's not like.
And you open up that present and it's like discount Dargon that you got instead, and you didn't even realize your parents got you the wrong thing.
Even a monk, I'm a Dargon ninja.
Totally.
A Dargon ninja.
Totally. like I wanted to love this so bad, right? But I think I feel like Wizards doesn't quite get how to like make monks a little more balanced or a little more competitive from an optimization standpoint, right? Still lots of cool flavorful stuff. By level 17, like arguably you're good. Unquestionably, when this comes out at release, like probably the first thing I do is going to do like an episode on trying to optimize like an Ascendant Dragon monk, right? And who knows, maybe I will eat my words. I hope that I do. I hope that I'll be able to find a way to like, oh, you know what? Like I didn't think about this before, but like this could be really good. And if you do it like this or whatever. But yeah, otherwise I just am a little frustrated, obviously.
Or you could just pick the dragon monk because you think it's cool and just have fun.
Exactly. And
Who wants to have fun playing D&D?
I would unquestionably have fun playing it. But again, like, you know, like for some of us, part of the fun, right, is like finding ways to create a character that like feels both cool but also like really powerful, and not just because of like the theater of the mind that's going on in my head, but because the numbers demonstrate it, right?
Yeah.
And
so, I get that, but as long as it doesn't like affect your desire to play and you're wanting to have fun with the character, because if you're going to compare classes and you're going to optimize and try to find the most optimized build, you're always going to end up with some sort of warlocks, you know, multi-class combo, whatever. And it's going to be one of those things where it's like, oh, I could play this really cool character concept, but it's not going to be as good as if I do this. And then you're kind of going to the territory of like, what are you playing for? Are you playing to have the best combat, or are you playing to have the most fun with your character?
Yeah. This is why I like your optimization builds, though, Colby. I just have to say, because you pick a theme and then go for it. It's not like, how do I become the best warlock?
Right.
It's like, I want to drag people across spike growth. How do I do that effectively? Like, that's really cool. And picking a concept and sticking to it and seeing it through is unique to that, I think. And so, right. In that regard, I don't think you're like pigeonholed into just playing a monk, or playing a hexblade. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. I will say that, like, yeah, you know, I don't necessarily, I really truly don't ever feel like when I'm deciding what character to play in game, or, you know, doing a weekly episode or whatever, that I'm like, okay, like this has to be better than anything I've done so far on the damage meters, because otherwise it's a failure, you know what I mean, or anything like that. It is a little bit more like, okay, I want to take this concept and like see how far I can stretch it, right?
Yeah.
And try to at least have it be like in the ballpark or comparable to, you know, whatever the current like damage leader on my little graphs or whatever are, you know what I mean? Like, and to Wizards' credit, I think, particularly with the Ascendant Dragon monk here, like one of the greatest weaknesses I think that monks have is that they just don't scale very well. You can build them to be pretty effective, like through the first 6 to 9 levels, and kind of keep up, I think, damage wise, just talking damage here, but they tend to plateau from there and not scale very well. And this gives you some options here, like at 11th level and especially 17th level, that's like, okay, like, you know, there's a little additional scaling here now built into the subclass, which is cool. You know, yeah, I won't deny it.
I'd say if I were to fix this, I would maybe make the Ascendant aspect come sooner and have an additional thing that you get at level 17. I think that 17th level could probably be an 11th level and still be pretty balanced. It would be strong for an 11th level thing, but I don't think it would break the game in any way. And then have something else at 17th level to help you ramp. But it's better than most other monks so far.
Yeah.
So,
Tori, give us your thoughts on the Dragon Monk before we close out here.
I don't really like monks.
Oh.
Hot take.
Oh, and episode's over. Colby has died.
Colby has died.
I guess the keys go to the next of kin. We'll have to contact and figure this out. Sorry, everybody.
Join us next time for when his son does the optimized build, as continuing on his father's legacy.
Colby Polson.
I want to talk about this more, but we are way out of time. So, can you tell us anything else about your take here?
Nope.
Wow.
Perfect.
That cut dry.
Sarah is going to start multi-classing in monk now. Let's see how Eve feels about our relationship.
Okay.
That would be cool.
We'll see.
And honestly, from a story perspective, it could kind of work here.
Do it.
Definitely could.
All right. Let's wrap up. So thank you everybody for watching. Really appreciate it. Love you guys. Thanks to all of my DMs as always for joining us and for for enduring all of my whining this episode. But
barely.
Anyway, yeah.
See
Corey,
these gray hairs? These are all Colby.
Corey doesn't have children of his own other than furry ones, so I'm the one that ages him prematurely. I've just taken on that role.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, check out the rest of the stuff in the channel, and please like and subscribe and do all the things that all YouTubers always ask you to do. And have a fantastic day. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks, and take care.